Welcome to the latest Motley Fool scoreboard. I'm Anand Chokkavelu, and we've got longtime fools Jason Moser and Emily Flippen giving a 1 to 10 rating to a company that makes software solutions for government entities. It's Tyler Technologies, ticker symbol TYL. We'll talk about the business first, including industry and competition. A 10 is invincible. A 1 is hopeless. Jason's at a 7. Emily, you're at an 8.
Yeah, there's really not much to dislike about the industry that Tyler Opportunities serves, or Tyler Technologies serves. They serve the public sector, and that's a very challenging industry to compete in. So they don't have a lot of competition, as high barriers to entry, and they have long-standing relationships with a lot of the customers that they serve and the contracts that they serve. So their reputation, alongside this broader transition for both themselves and their clients to cloud-based offerings, I think has offered a really stable and sticky growth funnel that is very underappreciated by the market today.
Yeah, as you mentioned, it's the provider of software solutions for state and local governments. I think there's a small Fed dynamic to the business. But when you look at the market opportunity, I mean, there's like 3,000 counties, 36,000 cities, 13,000 school districts in the U.S. I mean, this is a big customer overall, right? And I think that's encouraging because this company does everything from managing, municipalities' finances to organizing court records and virtually everything in between there. So I think from that perspective, it is an attractive market opportunity, $15 billion they estimate. So I give it a 7.
Loved Emily's Freudian slip there. Tyler Opportunities. You can see she's at least a little
think about
bullish.
renaming.
Yeah, it's a great name. Let's talk about management. A 10 is Warren Buffett. A 1 is Homer Simpson. Jason's at a 7. Emily, you're coming down a little to a 6.
Yeah, and I have to be fair here. I'm giving them a 6 because I would give any other company, probably with this management team, somewhere around a 6 to a 7, even though I really like this company and the stock. And that's just because the management team hasn't been a big part of the thesis for me. There's not a lot to write home about, which is a good thing. They've been in place for a long time, very long tenured executives. That's great for these sticky relationships. But push comes to shove, there's not a lot of insider ownership. And I'm not sure that the vision here from the management team is so much that it deserves a particularly high score, but they're solid.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, 7, 6, I could go either way there too. Lynn Morey's been the CEO since 2018, been with the company since 2000. Like Emily mentioned, no significant insider ownership whatsoever. I went 7 because, listen, the stock is up 140% during his tenure and outperforming. So you got to give him credit for that.
Let's talk about financials. 10 is a fortress. A 1 is yikes. Both of you are at an 8, Emily.
I'm happy to see that we're both at an 8. To be honest, I actually think if you just take a glance at their financials, it looks worse than it is. Management's been going through this business model change, one to a subscription style revenue stream as opposed to licensing, and the other from cloud to on-premise. From on-premise to cloud. So both have been these kind of like lengthy and expensive process, which is making the company look worse on a bottom line than I actually think their long-term basis is in reality. So in practice, if you actually kind of extrapolate some of this, margins are expanding. The business is setting themselves up for what I think will be much more profitable, fast-growing growth. So they generate a ton in free cash flow, double their net income in free cash flow, and they have no long-term debt.
Yeah, I went with an 8. There's some pros and cons. I mean, the Moneyball Super Score of 74 is thanks to some particular strength in financials, which I think makes sense, right? Like Emily mentioned, the company makes a healthy amount of free cash flow, has a good balance sheet, no real long-term debt, and several $100 million in cash to work with. I think on the con side, you look at the top line. Top line growth has stagnated recently. And this is ultimately a tech company, right? I mean, they're providing software services, and with 45% gross margin, net margin just around 13%. I guess I would expect that margin picture to be a little bit more robust, but given the customer base, they may not necessarily possess the pricing power there. That's why I went ahead with 8.
Jason, let's move on to valuation. How well will Tyler's stock do over the next 5 years, and how safe is it? 10's a sure thing. 1's a lottery ticket.
Yeah, I could see this one returning 5 to 10%. I think that's at least achievable. I think there is a lot of safety in regard to the services it provides and the customers that it provides them to. It's kind of mission critical in a sense. That said, I'll also say if you deal with government sites in technologies, it's hard to argue that they're the most elegant solutions out there. So that's a little bit of a concern there in that competition, I think, could come in and potentially supplant this business. So I ultimately give it safety a 7 because it's so well established. But again, I think the return picture probably in that neighborhood of 5 to 10%.
I think that's fair. I agree. 5 to 10% in terms of returns, just based off the customers that they serve. They could do better should that federal business expand. But given the current administration, it doesn't seem like there's going to be a lot of CapEx spend on technology here for updates to software for the government. So they're really focused on expanding via local and state governments for now. So solid market beater in my mind. I do give them a safety score of 8, slightly more than Jason. We don't see a lot of competition in the space. And to your point, they're competing a lot with some of these outdated systems. There's a lot of opportunities for upgrades. The reason I don't have higher is because their transactions business, so the actual payment processing that's going on in the back end, they've taken a somewhat conservative approach to expanding their transactions. And while they're focusing on high margin transactions, I think they should be focusing more on volume. And that concerns me a little bit.
Time for everyone's favorite topic. Jason, is there a company in Tyler Technologies space that you like better?
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're looking in the broader sort of government space, right, with big government customers, if you're looking for that kind of exposure, I think Booz Allen Hamilton is another potential option. I mean, much of Booz's work centers on investments in cutting edge technology. We're talking things like immersive tech, AI, 5G, multi-cloud solutions, and more. So big consulting business with obviously a strong dependence on the federal government as its main customer. That, of course, really is the big risk to the business. Much like Tyler, it is very reliant on that primary customer, which is the U.S. Federal government in this case.
Yeah, I really want to say no here. I like Tyler Technologies a lot, but I have to give a nod to Axon, who competes in the public service, especially aimed at police forces, both in the US and internationally. If you can get Axon Technologies at a reasonable valuation, which is challenging, has been for many, many years, then I could see that argument that they have a higher rate of potential return.
Thank you to both Emily and to Jason. They've given Tyler Technologies an all right overall score of 6.9 out of 10. Look out for a new scoreboard every market day at 7 p.m. Eastern. Next up is Adyen. Till then, Fool on.